we have watched in absolute agony as Bill Hamilton stumbled, slurred his words, and completely collapsed in his office, leaving us all screaming at our televisions. We knew his devious gold-digging wife, Hayley Hamilton, was up to no good with her sinister little green smoothies and forced cardio sessions. But the medical confirmation is finally here, and it is more terrifying than any of us could have ever anticipated. Dr. Madison Montgomery, our brilliant and relentless physician, has just received the in-depth toxicology reports, and the truth is a bitter, horrifying pill to swallow. Bill is not suffering from a stroke. He is not having a transient ischemic attack. He is being methodically, ruthlessly poisoned with a slow-acting neurotoxin. Can you even imagine the sheer horror pulsing through Madison's veins as she stares at those damning lab results? I can already picture the sheer panic and professional outrage in Madison's eyes as she realizes the terrifying gravity of this situation. She knows that time is running out, and she cannot just page a random nurse or file a standard report. She immediately initiates a covert operation, secretly pulling Naomi Hawthorne and Chelsea Hamilton into a private, secure hospital room away from prying eyes. The emotional devastation that is going to hit these two daughters will be absolutely gut-wrenching to witness. Imagine hearing the clinical, cold, hard fact that your father, the man you have fought with, cried over, and loved your entire life, is being systematically murdered by the woman sleeping in his bed. Chelsea, who has been fiercely protective of her father and highly suspicious of Hayley from day one, is going to experience a terrifying, heartbreaking validation of her absolute worst fear. And Naomi, our brilliant legal mind, is going to have her entire world turned upside down in an instant. How will these sisters mask their agonizing grief and boiling rage when they have to walk back into that hospital room and look Hayley in the eye? But thank goodness for Jacob Hawthorne. When a trembling Naomi brings this horrifying revelation to her husband, the seasoned, hardened detective inside him instantly takes over. Jacob's sharp, analytical mind immediately pieces together the sinister puzzle. With his extensive background in criminal investigations and deep undercover work, he definitively concludes that the perpetrator has to be someone with intimate, daily, unrestricted access to Bill. The culprit has to be someone who can meticulously monitor his intake, control his environment, and execute this lethal plan without raising immediate suspicion from the outside world. Naomi, trembling with a volatile mix of fear and fury, begins to recount every single bizarre behavior Hayley has exhibited recently. We are talking about the sudden, aggressive push for extreme cardiovascular exercise for a man who just suffered a severe medical crisis. We are talking about those highly suspicious, so-called nutritious green smoothies that Hayley practically shoved down Bill's throat right before he collapsed unconscious. Are we about to see Jacob completely shift his relentless focus from the plasma ring to saving his father-in-law's life? I am entirely here for Detective Jacob Hawthorne going rogue to protect his family. Recognizing that Hayley couldn't possibly procure a highly untraceable, rare neurotoxin on her own, Jacob's investigative crosshairs immediately lock onto her sketchy cousin and known co-conspirator, Randy Parker. Jacob starts aggressively digging into Randy's alibis, tracking his movements, and monitoring his shady connections in the criminal underworld. Could Randy be the supplier of this deadly poison? We all know Randy has been doing Joey Armstrong's dirty work for months, but facilitating the cold-blooded murder of a high-profile lawyer like Bill Hamilton is a whole new level of depravity. The stakes have never been higher for the Hamilton. The sisters, fueled by their agonizing heartbreak and a desperate, burning need for justice, join forces with Jacob to orchestrate a highly sophisticated, high-stakes trap. They are determined to catch Hayley and Randy red-handed before Bill takes his final poison breath. But will their elaborate trap spring shut in time, or are they underestimating the sheer cunning of a desperate black widow? While Jacob and the Hamilton sisters are meticulously plotting their next strategic move, Catherine "Cat" Richardson is taking matters into her own reckless, fearless hands. Oh, Cat! We love her immense bravery, but sometimes her impulsive nature leaves us screaming in absolute terror. Acting on her own fierce instincts and a burning desire to protect her extended family, Cat goes full undercover detective, stealthily tailing Randy Parker all the way to the glitzy, bustling atmosphere of Uptown. I can vividly imagine the neon lights reflecting in Cat's determined eyes as she weaves through the crowded bar, staying just out of sight behind the velvet booth. She knows deep in her gut that Randy is the missing link to Hayley's web of deceit, but what she is about to witness will completely shatter any remaining doubts she has. What exactly is she going to find in the dark, secluded corners of the uptown? Tucked away in a dimly lit, secluded booth, Kat is absolutely paralyzed by the sight before her. There sits Randy Parker and Hayley Hamilton, but they are not just having a casual family catch-up over cocktails. They are leaning in close, whispering conspiratorially, with a level of intense, suffocating intimacy that goes far beyond a normal cousin dynamic. The body language, the hushed tones, the secretive, lingering glances, it all paints a sickening, undeniable picture of a deeply entwined, villainous partnership. Kat, ever the quick thinker, whips out her smartphone and begins snapping away, capturing these priceless, damning moments of their illicit rendezvous. These photos are the smoking gun the family has been desperately praying for. But will having photographic evidence safely stored on her device be enough to satisfy Kat's burning desire for immediate explosive confrontation? Of course not. This is Kat Richardson we are talking about. She has never backed down from a fight in her entire life, especially after surviving a massive liver transplant. Unable to suppress the explosive rage boiling inside her, Kat marches right up to their table, her presence hitting them like a sudden violent thunderstorm. I can practically feel the sheer electricity in the air as Kat looks Randy dead in the eye and directly interrogates him about his true identity and his sinister agenda with Hayley. Hayley's face instantly drains of all color, turning a ghostly, terrified pale as she realizes she has been caught. The mask of the grieving, concerned wife completely shatters in an instant. But Randy, cold and calculating, doesn't even flinch. Instead, he leans back and delivers a chilling, thinly veiled threat that sends shivers down Kat's spine. Will Randy's sinister warning force Kat to realize just how deeply she has waded into dangerous, lethal waters? The blazing confrontation inevitably draws the curious, probing eyes of everyone around them up. Realizing that causing a massive public spectacle might jeopardize their ultimate goal of saving Bill, Kat wisely decides to execute a tactical retreat. But as she walks away, her heart pounding fiercely against her ribs, she wears a triumphant, knowing smirk. She may have retreated from the immediate battle, but she has not been defeated. She has the photographic evidence locked safely in her phone, and she knows she has successfully rattled the enemy. Hayley and Randy are now painfully aware that they are being watched, which means they are going to panic. And what happens when desperate criminals panic? They make catastrophic, sloppy mistakes. How far will Hayley go to silence Kat before those damning photos make it to the police? Meanwhile, Jacob is not waiting around for the neurotoxin to take full effect on Bill's fragile system. Utilizing every single psychological tactic he honed during his dangerous undercover work, Jacob corners Randy for a relentless, high-pressure interrogation. Jacob doesn't just ask about Bill's poisoning. He masterfully pivots, suddenly bringing up the mysterious, chilling disappearance of Lynette. Ah, the sheer brilliance of this move. We all know Lynette vanished without a trace months ago, and Hayley has been dropping highly suspicious hints about her fate to throw Smitty off her trail. As soon as Jacob drops Lynette's name, he watches Randy's tough guy demeanor completely fracture. The usually composed henchman begins to stutter, his eyes darting nervously around the room, his body language screaming profound, undeniable guilt. What exactly does Randy know about Lynette's grim fate, and how does it tie directly into Hayley's murder? The interrogation yields massive dividends, but it is Naomi who brings the final devastating pieces of the puzzle to light. Armed with her impeccable memory and razor-sharp analytical skills, Naomi sits down with Jacob and meticulously dissects every single contradiction in Hayley's past state. She points out the glaring impossible inconsistencies in Hayley's dramatic story about the so-called robbery and her tragic miscarriage. Nothing adds up. The timelines are fractured, the medical details change every time Hayley speaks, and the emotional responses are entirely fabricated. Naomi's brilliant deduction proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Hayley's entire life in Fairmont Crest has been a meticulously crafted, lethal illusion. How could Bill have been so blinded by her beauty and manipulation to not see the absolute monster lurking beneath the surface? As Jacob processes Naomi's groundbreaking findings alongside Randy's panicked reaction to the Lynette Wise questioning, a horrifying, bone-chilling realization washes over him. Randy Parker is not just a bumbling henchman or a petty criminal doing Joey Armstrong's bidding. He is a full-fledged accomplice in a massive, deadly conspiracy that spans months, possibly years. Jacob realizes that Hayley and Randy are not just greedy gold diggers. They are cold-blooded, calculating murderers who will stop at nothing to get their hands on Bill's $10 million life insurance policy. The stakes have transcended a simple family feud or a messy divorce. This is a literal fight for survival. Will Jacob be able to build a rock-solid, undeniable case before Randy and Hayley could decide to accelerate their lethal timeline and finish Bill off in his hospital bed? With the terrifying gravity of the situation fully realized, Jacob calls an emergency, highly secretive meeting with Naomi, Chelsea, and Kat. The atmosphere in that room must be suffocatingly tense, filled with a mixture of dread and fierce determination. Jacob looks these three strong, determined women in the eyes and delivers a grim, terrifying warning. They are no longer dealing with a simple gold-digging stepmother or a sleazy, opportunistic cousin. They are actively engaging in a war against real, ruthless killers who have likely taken lives before and will not hesitate to do it again. Every step they take must be calculated. Every move must be flawless. One wrong word, one slipped secret, and any of them could easily become Hayley's next victim. Can you feel the adrenaline coursing through this explosive storyline? The alliance is forged in blood, terror, and an unbreakable family bond. The Hamilton sisters, backed by Jacob's extensive law enforcement expertise and Kat's fearless evidence gathering, are forming an impenetrable, united front. The cracks in Hayley and Randy's sinister partnership are already beginning to show, thanks to the immense, crushing pressure being applied from all sides. But, as we all know, a cornered animal is the most dangerous kind. Hayley is watching her $10 million Caribbean dream slip through her manicured fingers, and Randy knows his freedom is hanging by a very thin thread. The ultimate explosive showdown is looming on the horizon, and it is going to shake the very foundations of Fairmont. Will the trap snap shut on Hayley and Randy, bringing them to justice, or will Bill Hamilton pay the ultimate price for his blind devotion? You absolutely cannot miss a single second of the upcoming episodes because the chaos is only just beginning.